Captain Jack Simmons rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the blinking light on his console. The UES Dauntless had been patrolling the outer reaches of the solar system for 3 weeks now, and nothing interesting had happened. Until now. "Sir, we're picking up a signal," said Lieutenant Kelly Adams, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the bridge. "It's not one of ours." Jack straightened in his chair. "Play it." A series of strange clicks and whistles filled the bridge. The crew exchanged looks of confusion and excitement. "That's no human language," Jack said. "And it's not a mechanical error either. It's a distress signal," said Communications Officer Paul Wright after running it through the computer. "At least, that's what the pattern suggests. Coming from about 500,000 miles from Neptune." Jack didn't hesitate. "Set course. Let's find out who's calling for help in our backyard." 6 hours later, the Dauntless approached a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It was shimmering with an iridescent hull that seemed to shift colors as they watched. The ship was clearly damaged, with a large tear along one side. "No radiation leakage that we can detect," reported Science Officer Maria Gonzalez. "Atmosphere inside appears breathable for humans, surprisingly enough." "Prepare a boarding party," Jack ordered. "I'll lead it myself." Inside the alien ship, Jack and his team moved carefully through curved corridors lit by a soft blue glow. They found the bridge where 3 beings huddled around a damaged console. The aliens were tall and slender with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like their ship. They backed away as the humans entered, their large eyes blinking rapidly. "We come in peace," Jack said, holding his hands up. "We received your distress call." One of the aliens stepped forward. It wore an ornate collar that the others lacked. "You understand our signal?" it asked in halting English. Jack couldn't hide his surprise. "You speak our language. We have studied your broadcasts for many cycles. I am Ambassador Zorthak of the Galactic Council. These are my aides. Our ship was damaged by a solar flare. We were coming to officially observe your world." "Captain Jack Simmons, United Earth Space Force. We can help repair your ship or offer you transport if needed." The aliens conferred among themselves in their clicking language before Zorthak turned back to Jack. "We would be grateful for assistance." Back aboard the Dauntless, the aliens watched with obvious fascination as the human crew worked. "You handled the boarding party very efficiently," Zorthak commented to Jack as they sat in the mess hall. "Your species moves with surprising speed and coordination." Jack shrugged. "Basic space rescue operations, nothing special." "And your gravity?" Zorthak asked. "Our information indicated Earth has substantially higher gravity than most Council worlds. Do you not find it difficult to function in such conditions?" "It's just normal to us," Jack said with a laugh. "We've evolved to handle it." The conversation turned to Earth's history. Jack mentioned the world wars as reference points for when humans developed certain technologies. "Wars? Between your own kind?" Zorthak's skin paled slightly. "How many died in these conflicts?" "Tens of millions in World War II alone," Jack said. "It was our most devastating conflict." The aliens fell silent. Their skin began to pulse with faint red patterns. "And how do your people commemorate such tragedy?" asked one of the aides. "We remember the fallen, learn from our mistakes, and move forward," Jack said. "It's part of our history now." The aliens excused themselves shortly after. Jack thought nothing of it until Chief Engineer Ben Foster called from the hangar bay an hour later. "Captain, our guests have suddenly decided to leave. Their ship isn't fully repaired, but they're insisting." When Jack arrived, Zorthak was already boarding their vessel. "Is everything all right, Ambassador?" Jack asked. "Yes, we have urgent matters to report. The Council will contact your leaders directly." The alien ship departed quickly, leaving the crew of the Dauntless confused. 2 days later, as they were returning to Earth, a message came through on all channels. Earth was now officially under observation by the Galactic Council pending further assessment. Assessment for what? Jack wondered aloud as the blue-green sphere of home came into view. He had a feeling they hadn't seen the last of Ambassador Zorthak or the Galactic Council. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives of 200 species filled the circular room, their voices creating a strange mix of chirps, whistles, and rumbles. At the center stood Ambassador Zorthak, his skin shifting between worried shades of blue and gray. "Silence," boomed the council leader, a massive being with tentacles that waved for emphasis. "This emergency session will now begin. Ambassador Zorthak, present your findings on the human species." Zorthak stepped forward. "As you know, our research vessel made direct contact with humans after our planned observation mission was interrupted by a solar flare. The humans assisted us, but what we learned is deeply concerning." Images of Earth appeared on the giant screens around the chamber. Humans evolved on what we would classify it as a death world. Their gravity is 1.4 times the Council average. Their atmosphere contains toxic oxygen at levels that would poison most of us. They endure temperature swings that would kill many species here. The chamber filled with murmurs. "But most alarming is their history," Zorthak continued. "Humans have spent most of their development at war with themselves. They speak of conflicts that killed millions as if discussing the weather. Their entertainment glorifies violence. Their bodies are built to take damage that would kill most species." Dr. Xilara, the Council's chief xenobiologist, joined Zorthak. Her insectoid form clicked as she moved. "My analysis confirms these concerns," she said. "Humans can continue functioning after losing significant amounts of blood. They can survive the loss of entire limbs. Their bones heal themselves. Their skin repairs itself after damage. They can go days without sleep. Their digestive systems can process foods that would be poison to us." The council leader's tentacles curled in distress. "What is your recommendation, Doctor?" "From a biological perspective, humans are perfectly adapted to warfare," she answered. "They evolved as pursuit predators, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They are built to endure pain, to fight, to survive conditions that should kill them." Diplomat Kuvov, a small blue-furred being, stepped forward. "If I may speak, leader, I believe we are overreacting. Yes, humans have a violent history, but they have also shown remarkable progress. Their art, music, and scientific achievements suggest a species moving beyond their primitive instincts." "Naive nonsense." The harsh voice belonged to Warlord Kragnar of the Vorax, a reptilian species known for their military might. His scales gleamed as he stomped forward. "I have studied their military capabilities. Primitive, yes, but their weapons are designed to cause maximum damage. They split the atom just to create better bombs." "What would you suggest, Warlord?" asked the council leader. Krakenar's forked tongue flicked out. "Containment at minimum. Their ships have barely reached their outer planets. We can easily establish a blockade. If they resist, elimination may be necessary before they advance further." The chamber erupted in heated debate. Some argued for peaceful contact, others for immediate military action. After hours of discussion, the council leader called for quiet. "We will now vote. Ambassador Zorthak, as the one with direct contact experience, yours will be the tie-breaking vote if needed." The voting took only minutes. The result appeared on the main screen. 100 for containment, 100 for peaceful observation. All eyes turned to Zorthak. He hesitated, his skin rippling with conflicting colors. "I vote for containment," he said finally, "with the option of pacification if they prove hostile." The council leader's tentacles rose in a formal gesture. "It is decided. For the first time in 4,000 galactic cycles, the council officially declares a state of conflict. May wisdom guide our actions." As the session ended, Diplomat Kuvov approached Zorthak. "I hope you haven't doomed us all," she whispered. "You've never seen humans truly fight." "I fear none of us have." Zorthak watched her leave, doubt creeping into his mind. But the decision was made. The formal declaration would be transmitted to Earth immediately. Lisa Martinez was just about to go to bed when her secure phone buzzed. As White House Chief of Staff, late-night calls weren't unusual, but the caller ID made her pause. NASA emergency line. Martinez, she answered sharply. Ma'am, we've received a transmission. You need to see this immediately. The voice on the other end sounded unnaturally calm. 20 minutes later, Lisa stood in the White House Situation Room with a hastily assembled team of advisors. On the main screen was a message, translated from an alien language. By unanimous decree of the Galactic Council, Earth is hereby declared a contained planet. All space travel beyond your moon is forbidden. Any attempt to expand beyond these limits will be met with force. This state of conflict will remain until humans prove they are not a threat to galactic peace. Should I wake the president? Lisa asked the room. Defense Secretary Frank Johnson nodded. This is arguably the most significant moment in human history. President Samantha Collins entered the room 10 minutes later, her hair slightly disheveled but her eyes alert. She read the message twice. So, she said, settling into her chair, aliens exist. They formed some kind of space United Nations, and they've just put us in timeout. She looked around the table. Auctions. The room was silent for a moment. Then Frank cleared his throat. Madam President, we've had protocols for this scenario since the Cold War. The first contact defense protocol was updated just last year. We can activate it immediately. President Collins nodded. Do it. What does that entail exactly? We alert all major powers without causing public panic. We ready our space assets. We prepare for possible hostilities while attempting diplomatic contact. Make the calls, President Collins said. And someone get me NASA's top people here by morning. Across the country, Alan Wright was cheering as his daughter's team scored a goal when his phone vibrated. The NASA engineer looked at the message and froze. Everything okay, honey? His wife asked. I need to go to Houston. Now. He kissed her quickly. I can't explain. I'll call when I can. In New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and capitals across the world, similar scenes played out. Scientists, military personnel, and government officials were quietly mobilized. By morning, the news had spread to the public. Television stations broadcast the alien message on repeat. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from terror to excitement to disbelief. Yet something strange happened that the watching aliens didn't expect. After the initial shock, most humans simply went on with their lives. Children still went to school. People still went to work. Restaurants still served food. Movies still played in theaters, though many switched their features to science fiction films. In orbit around Earth, cloaked Council observation drones recorded everything. The analysts watching the feeds were confused. They received our declaration 8 hours ago, said a junior observer to his superior. Why are they not preparing for war? Look at this female human. She's watering plants. The senior observer, a veteran of many species studies, flicked her antenna thoughtfully. Perhaps they don't understand the severity. Or perhaps they're mobilizing in ways we can't detect. Meanwhile, in Houston, Alan Wright sat in a crowded conference room with 50 of NASA's brightest minds. The aliens think we'll just roll over and accept their terms, said NASA Director Greg Phillips. But what they don't understand is that humans don't like being told what we can and cannot do. Alan nodded. Their technology must be far beyond ours if they can travel between stars. But I bet they've never dealt with human ingenuity under pressure. Back in Washington, President Collins addressed her cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, an alien council has just declared what they call a conflict with Earth. They've restricted our movement in our own solar system and threatened force. She smiled slightly. They probably think we're panicking right now. Let's show them that for humans, this is just another Tuesday. Captain Diane Rodriguez of the UES Intrepid watched her sensor screen with narrowed eyes. 5 alien ships had just appeared near Earth's orbit, Their strange designs unlike anything humans had built. They were arranged in a formation that clearly blocked the path to Mars. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's see what they want." Her communications officer nodded. "Channel open, Captain." Diane straightened her uniform and faced the screen. "This is Captain Diane Rodriguez of the United Earth Space Force vessel Intrepid. You have entered Earth space. Please state your purpose." The screen flickered, then showed an alien with green scales and sharp teeth. "I am Commander Zex of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. By order of the Council, Earth is now under blockade. Return to your planet immediately." Diane kept her face calm despite her racing heart. "Commander Zex, we were not aware that the Council had authority in our solar system. This is sovereign human territory." The alien's eyes narrowed. "There is no negotiation. The Council has spoken. Turn back now." "I need to consult with my superiors," Diane said. "Please stand by." When the alien's image disappeared, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Joe Garcia, let out a low whistle. "What now, Captain?" Diane tapped her console. "Now we stall while Earth Command decides how to respond. And we get a closer look at their ships." The Intrepid continued its approach, moving slowly. On the alien command ship, Commander Zex grew impatient. "The human vessel is still advancing," reported his sensor officer. "Fire a warning shot," Zex ordered. "Aim well away from their ship. Show them we are serious." A beam of energy shot from the alien vessel, passing half a kilometer from the Intrepid. On the human ship, alarms blared. "Energy weapon fired," called out the tactical officer. "Missed us by 500 meters. "Yellow alert," Diane ordered calmly. "Shields up, but do not arm weapons." She opened the channel again. "Commander Zex, was that a hostile act?" "We were simply maintaining position while awaiting orders." The alien commander appeared flustered. "It was a warning. Your ship was approaching our blockade line." Diane nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding about our intentions. Allow me to demonstrate our peaceful approach." She gestured to her pilot, who had already received special orders from Earth Command through a secure channel. The Intrepid suddenly performed a series of rapid maneuvers, moving in a pattern that seemed random but was actually a carefully planned sequence. To the aliens, it appeared as if the human ship was dancing through space. "What are they doing?" Zex demanded. "Is this some kind of attack?" His officers had no answer. The human ship's movements made no tactical sense to them. It wasn't retreating, wasn't attacking, and wasn't following any recognizable military pattern. What they couldn't know was that the Intrepid was gathering detailed scans of the alien vessels while distracting them with its movements. "Scans complete, Captain," whispered the science officer. "We have their shield frequencies, weapon signatures, and engine outputs." Diane nodded and opened the channel again. "Commander Zex, we have received orders from Earth Command. We will withdraw to report your presence, but be advised that Earth does not recognize your blockade as legitimate." Zex hissed in what might have been relief. "Wise choice, human. The Council's might is beyond your comprehension." As the Intrepid turned away, Diane smiled. "Return to Earth, maximum speed," she ordered once the channel was closed. In the Council fleet, a junior intelligence officer named Mielkor approached Commander Zex. "Sir, the human ship's capabilities exceed our intelligence reports. Their maneuverability and scanner technology are more advanced than expected." Zex dismissed the concern. "They retreated, didn't they? The humans know they're outmatched." Mielkor wasn't so sure. As he reviewed the sensor logs, he noticed something odd. The human ship's movements hadn't been random at all. They had systematically exposed every part of the Council ships to their scanners. They weren't retreating, he realized. They were gathering intelligence. Back on Earth, Diane's report caused a stir in military command. The alien technology was advanced, but not impossibly so. And now they had vital data on the Council ships. "Not bad for a first skirmish," General Henry Peterson said, studying the scan results. They meant to frighten us. Instead, they'd shown us their cards. Vixna stared at the screen in front of her, her 6 eyes blinking in confusion. As the Council's top intelligence analyst, she had been tasked with understanding human warfare. What she found disturbed her deeply. "This can't be right," she muttered, checking the data again. Humans have been at war with themselves for almost their entire recorded history. Her assistant, a small green being named Plex, looked over her shoulder. "What's so strange about that? Many species fight among themselves." "Not like this," Vixna said. "Look at these numbers. In just 1 century, they had 2 global wars that killed millions. And yet they survived. They thrived." She pulled up images of human history: soldiers in trenches, tanks rolling across deserts, ships fighting in vast oceans. And this concept, she pointed to another screen. They call it a weekend warrior. Civilian fighters who train part-time but can be called to fight at any moment. Their entire species is a part-time military. Plex shuddered. The Council was right to contain them. Vixna wasn't so sure. She pulled up footage from Earth's current news broadcasts. Humans going about their daily lives despite knowing about the blockade. Children playing. Adults working. No panic. No chaos. "They're either very brave or very foolish," she said quietly. On the other side of the galaxy, the Council's military strategists were having a similar conversation. "These humans have a concept called acceptable casualties," said General Vrax, pointing to his report. "They expect to lose fighters in battle. They plan for it. All species expect losses," argued Admiral Zur. "Not like humans. Look at this human military operation they call D-Day. They knew thousands would die, but they attacked anyway. And they celebrated it as a victory." The Admiral's skin paled. What kind of species thinks that way? Meanwhile, on Earth, NASA scientist Eric Bailey hunched over a workbench in a secure facility. In front of him lay pieces of a small alien drone that had been captured near the moon. "Fascinating," he murmured, examining a power cell no bigger than his thumb. "Their energy storage is decades ahead of ours, but the basic principles are the same." Across the table, his colleague Dr. Nina Patel nodded. "I've been studying their communications array. It uses quantum entanglement, but there are vulnerabilities we might exploit." In another part of the facility, military personnel from around the world were training together. Russian cosmonauts worked alongside American astronauts. Chinese engineers collaborated with European scientists. The United Defense Initiative had been formed, uniting Earth's nations against the common threat. General Peterson walked through the facility, observing the cooperation with satisfaction. 6 months ago, these people were strategic rivals, he said to his aide. Now they're working as one team. "Nothing unites people like a common enemy, sir," the aide replied. "The aliens made a tactical error," Peterson said. "They thought they would frighten us into submission. Instead, they've given us a reason to set aside our differences." Back on the Council's command ship, Mealcore presented his findings to a small group of intelligence officers. "Humans are adapting faster than expected," he said. "They've captured several of our drones and are likely studying our technology." "That's impossible," said one officer. "Our technology is too advanced for them to understand." Mealcore shook his head. "You underestimate them. Humans have a unique ability to learn and adapt, and they're not afraid to take risks." He showed them footage of a human test pilot flying a modified fighter jet to the edge of space, pushing the machine beyond its designed limits. "They call this pushing the envelope," Mealcore explained. "They constantly test boundaries, even when it puts them in danger." "Are you suggesting we should fear these primitives?" asked Commander Zex, who had joined the meeting late. "I'm suggesting we should respect them," Mealcore replied, "and perhaps reconsider our approach." Zex scoffed. "The Council has spoken. The blockade continues." As the meeting ended, Mealcore lingered, watching more footage from Earth. A human reporter was interviewing a young girl about the alien blockade. "Are you scared?" the reporter asked. The girl shrugged. "My dad says aliens are just people we haven't met properly yet, and people can always talk to each other." Mielkor switched off the screen, troubled by the simple wisdom in the child's words. Perhaps there was another way to handle the human problem. Junior diplomat Susan Harper checked her spacesuit seals one last time. Her small shuttle had landed on Phobos, the larger of Mars' 2 moons, just minutes ago. This meeting was perhaps the most important diplomatic mission in human history, and it was happening in secret. "Oxygen levels good. Comms check," she said into her helmet mic. "Reading you clearly," responded Captain Ryan Butler from the shuttle. "Remember, you have 1 hour. Any longer, and the Council ships might detect us." Susan stepped out onto the dusty surface of Phobos. The small moon was little more than a large asteroid orbiting Mars, but today it would serve as neutral ground. A small alien craft sat 50 meters away. As Susan approached, a figure emerged. The alien was smaller than most humans, with blue fur and large eyes. Susan recognized the species from the briefing files. This was a Quiveri, and if the intelligence was correct, this was Diplomat Quvoth herself. "Greetings, human representative," the alien said through a translation device. "I am Quvoth of the Galactic Council." "I am Susan Harper of Earth," Susan replied. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." They moved to a small shelter Quvoth had set up. Inside, they could remove their helmets and speak more freely. "I take great risk coming here," Quvoth said. "The Council believes I am inspecting the blockade fleet." "Why take that risk?" Susan asked. Quvoth's large eyes blinked slowly. "Because this conflict is unnecessary. Some on the Council fear humans because they do not understand you. I wish to understand." For the next 30 minutes, Susan explained human concepts that the Council found troubling: sovereignty, self-determination, and the human drive to explore. "Your people seem to value freedom above safety," Quvoth observed. "We do," Susan agreed. "We believe that growth comes from taking risks, from making our own choices, even our own mistakes." "A dangerous philosophy," Quvoth said, "but without judgment." "Now it's my turn to ask questions," Susan said. "Why does the Council really fear us? We've barely left our own planet." Quvoth was quiet for a moment. "The Council is old human, very old. We have maintained peace for thousands of years by carefully controlling expansion, technology, and conflict. Then we find your species, evolving on a death world, constantly at war with yourselves, advancing technologically at an alarming rate. So the containment isn't because we're a threat now," Susan realized. "It's because of what we might become." "Precisely," Quvoth confirmed. "Many Council species took millions of years to develop space travel. Humans did it in less than 10,000 years from basic tool use. You are concerning." Susan thought for a moment. What if we could show the Council that humans would make better allies than enemies? "How would you demonstrate this?" "Let me bring a proposal to my government. We might find a way to prove our intentions are peaceful, while still maintaining our independence." As they finished their meeting and prepared to leave, Quvoth placed a small device in Susan's hand. "A secure communication link. We can continue our discussions." "Thank you," Susan said. "I believe there's hope for peace." What neither of them knew was that their meeting had been observed. On a cloaked ship nearby, Warlord Kragnar of the Vorax watched with growing anger. "Treachery," he hissed to his second-in-command. "Quvoth meets with humans in secret while the Council debates." "What will you do, Warlord?" his officer asked. Kragnar's scaled face twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "For now, nothing. Let them play their diplomatic games. It will make no difference once our fleet arrives." Back on Earth, Susan reported directly to President Collins. "They're afraid of our potential, not what we are now," she explained. "And there are moderates on the Council who might be allies." The President nodded thoughtfully. "Good work, Susan. But we can't rely on diplomacy alone. The military preparations continue. Across Earth, nations work together building defenses, studying alien technology, and preparing for what most believed was an inevitable full-scale invasion. What they couldn't know was that warlord Kragnar was already moving to ensure that diplomacy would fail. He had plans for humanity, and they didn't include peace. Commander Steve Ortiz was enjoying his morning coffee in the mess hall of Lunar Base Alpha when the alarms started blaring. He nearly dropped his mug as he rushed to the command center. "Report," he shouted as he entered the room. "Multiple alien vessels approaching, sir," said Lieutenant Amy Foster, her fingers flying across her console. "At least 12 ships, much larger than the blockade vessels we've seen before." Steve looked at the big screen showing the incoming fleet. "Alert Earth Command. All personnel to battle stations." Lunar Base Alpha wasn't built for war. The base housed 300 people, mostly scientists and engineers with minimal military training. But in the 2 months since the Council's declaration, they had prepared as best they could. "They're hailing us, sir," Amy said. The screen changed to show Warlord Kragnar's reptilian face. "Attention human outpost. This is a preemptive pacification action by order of the Galactic Council. Surrender your base or be destroyed." Steve straightened his back. "This is Commander Steve Ortiz of the United Earth Lunar Base Alpha. We are a scientific outpost on our own moon. We have the right to be here." Kragnar laughed, a harsh sound. "Rights. The Council decides your rights, human. You have 1 hour to evacuate. After that, we level your base." The screen went dark. Steve turned to his team. "Evacuation is impossible in 1 hour. They know that." "What do we do, sir?" asked Amy. Steve thought for a moment. "We fight. Contact Dr. Wong in research. It's time to use those modified mining lasers he's been working on." Across the base, personnel rushed to prepare. Scientists grabbed hastily modified equipment. Maintenance workers positioned solar reflectors to blind enemy sensors. Engineers powered up the experimental shield system reverse-engineered from captured alien technology. In orbit, Kragnar watched with amusement. "Look at the humans scurry," he said to his officers, "like insects before a storm." "Should we not wait the full hour, Warlord?" asked his second-in-command. "Why?" "They cannot escape. Begin the attack." The alien ships opened fire. Energy beams streaked toward the lunar surface. But something unexpected happened. The beams scattered upon hitting the thin shield around the base. "Impossible," Kragnar hissed. "They cannot have shield technology." On the lunar surface, Steve allowed himself a small smile. "Dr. Wong, your shield is working." "For now," the scientist replied over the comm. "It won't last long against sustained fire." "It doesn't need to, just long enough for our surprise." The surprise came in the form of modified mining lasers, now pointing up at the alien fleet. They weren't as powerful as military weapons, but they had been adjusted to target the specific frequencies of the alien shields, based on the data from Captain Rodriguez's earlier encounter. "Fire," Steve ordered. Beams of intense light shot upward from the lunar surface. Several hit their targets, causing alien shield systems to flicker. In his command ship, Kragnar raged. "How are they damaging our shields?" "Land troops now." Dropships descended toward the lunar surface. But the humans had another advantage: knowledge of their environment. They had placed dust charges at strategic landing points. As the alien ships approached, these charges exploded, sending clouds of sharp lunar dust into the air. "Lunar dust is like tiny shards of glass," Steve explained to his team. "It will clog their systems and damage any exposed parts." The battle raged for hours. The humans, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, used every trick they could think of. They redirected solar arrays to blind alien sensors. They used the low gravity to move quickly between positions. They even repurposed scientific equipment as improvised weapons. News of the battle spread quickly throughout Council space. Many species had never seen anyone stand up to Council forces like this. Some were impressed by human ingenuity. Others began to question the conflict. From Earth, Captain Olivia Patel led a small fleet of ships toward the moon. They had been modified with technology reverse-engineered from the alien drones. It wasn't much, but it was all Earth could send on short notice. "Hold on, Lunar Base," she said as her ships accelerated. "The cavalry is coming." When they arrived, they found a standoff. The lunar base was damaged, but still standing. The alien fleet had pulled back to regroup. Kragnar stared at the human reinforcements with disbelief. They had no right to be this resilient. This was supposed to be an easy victory, a show of force to impress the Council. Instead, it had become a battle that would change everything. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was in chaos. News of the Battle of Luna had spread quickly, and many council members were demanding answers. Some called for a full-scale invasion of Earth. Others questioned the wisdom of the conflict altogether. "Order. We will have order," shouted the council leader, tentacles waving for emphasis. In the center of the chamber stood Warlord Kragnar, scales dark with rage. "The humans used trickery. They have stolen our technology. This proves they are a threat that must be eliminated." Diplomat Kuvoth stepped forward. "What it proves is that we underestimated them. They defended their moon with mining equipment and scientific tools. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach." Before the debate could continue, a junior aide rushed in. "Honored council members, there is a human ship requesting permission to dock." They claimed to have a diplomatic delegation aboard. Silence fell over the chamber. Then the council leader spoke. "Allow them to dock. Let us hear what they have to say." When Ambassador Karen Nguyen entered the council chamber, many aliens stared in shock. Humans had never set foot here before. She walked with confidence to the center of the room, flanked by two aides. "Greetings, honored members of the Galactic Council," she said, bowing slightly. "I am Ambassador Karen Nguyen of Earth, here to propose a new relationship between our worlds." "You have no standing here, human," Kragnar hissed. "Your kind is under containment." Karen smiled. "Yet here I stand, just as our people stand on our moon, despite your efforts to remove them." Then she did something unexpected. She began speaking in the clicking language of Zorthak's people. After a few sentences, she switched to the rumbling tones of the council leader's language, then to the harsh consonants of the Vorak's tongue. The chamber was stunned into silence. Humans weren't supposed to be able to learn alien languages so quickly. "In the 2 months since your declaration," Karen continued in standard council language, "humans have learned your languages, studied your technology, and begun incorporating it into our daily lives." She nodded to an aide, who activated a hologram showing scenes from Earth, hospitals using adapted alien medical techniques, schools teaching children about alien cultures, factories building hybrid technologies that combine human innovation with alien principles. "Humans don't see technology as something to fear or restrict," Karen explained. "We see it as tools to improve lives. We don't see different species as threats. We see them as potential friends with new ideas to share." The council leader's tentacles curled thoughtfully. "Your adaptability is impressive, but it does not change the council's decision." "Perhaps this will," Karen said. "A proposal from our president." A hologram changed to show President Collins in her office. "Greetings, Galactic Council. Earth has no desire for conflict. We propose instead a provisional alliance. In return for sharing knowledge and lifting the blockade, humans will serve as peacekeepers for the Council." Kragnar laughed harshly. "Peacekeepers? You are warriors." "Exactly," said Karen. "Who better to maintain peace than those who understand war? We have fought ourselves for centuries. We know conflict intimately. Now we offer to use that knowledge in service of galactic peace." The Council debated for hours. In the end, they voted narrowly to resign the conflict declaration and accept a provisional alliance with Earth. The blockade would be lifted, and humans would be allowed controlled access to Council technology and space. 1 month later, Captain Jack Simmons stood on the observation deck of a council station, sharing a drink with Ambassador Zorthak as they watched Earth rotate below them. "Your people surprised me, Captain," Zorthak said. "We declared what we thought was a serious conflict, and your leaders called it just another Tuesday." Jack laughed. "That's humans for you. We've faced so many challenges throughout our history that we've learned to take things in stride." Zorthak's skin rippled with curiosity. If that was just another Tuesday, what would humans consider an actual war? Jack's smile faded slightly as he looked out at the stars. "Trust me, Ambassador," he said quietly. "You don't want to find out." As they clinked their glasses together, both knew that this was just the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars. The Galactic Council had gained a new member species, one that would change everything forever.